Yes, guys, the 1 o'clock and the 4 o'clock games for week 1, Sunday, NFL, and fantasy football are in the books. We have so much to discuss. Sunday Night Football, Bills-Ravens kicking off right now. Who knows, as this video goes on, we might get some live updates and some live fantasy football takes. And of course, guys, Monday night, tomorrow night, Chicago and Minnesota. Follow on Twitter at Joe Rico, at NoExpertFF for those updates. But we have basically all the games to talk about, and there is a lot to talk about. I'm going to take you through the must-know Week 1 fantasy football results, the updates from every game, and give you action, waivers, trade targets, things like that, upgrades, downgrades. Let's get into it. So I do want to start in New York. Justin Fields is who I want to talk about first, and we are going to circle back later, okay, to the running back room. But Justin Fields, guys, rushed for 12 times for 48 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, if he was a running back, that would be top 10 at the position this week, okay? And then you add 218 passing yards and a touchdown. And again, this was versus the Steelers defense. He is the number 1 QB on the week right now. Obviously, Allen, Lamar, my boy Caleb Williams, McCarthy, they play. So that could definitely get shifted up. But yeah, right now, Justin Fields, the number 1 QB. And quite honestly, top 12 QB every single time we've seen him play, per game, I should say. Top 12 QB as the starter in points per game each of the last 3 years. So when he's out there, when he's the starter, he is a QB1. And then we have Bijan Robinson, my 101 this year, guys, just because of the scarcity of the amount of truly elite running backs. I did have Bijan at that 101. He had 100 receiving yards today, ladies and gentlemen. That is 74 more than Jamar Chase. And Jamar Chase obviously goes without saying is a buy low. Anytime you can buy a Jamar Chase, go and do it. Am I worried about 26 receiving yards for Jamar Chase? No, because if I was the Cleveland Browns and Jamar Chase was lined up across from me, I would do everything in my power to stop him as well. Thought the Bengals offense was a little weird today. We'll get more into that in a bit. Now, we're really going to dig into the running backs here to start, transition to the wide receivers, tight ends, QBs later, okay? Sticking in that same game, guys, Dylan Sampson, 20 opportunities. Now, Quinshon Judkins is coming back, but Sampson, 8 targets, caught all 8 of them. I think he remains a relevant pass-catching running back, even when Judkins returns, okay? Devon Achane was the lone bright spot for Miami. This Miami team, eliminated from playoffs, fire Mike McDaniel. It's over. This was the worst. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The Lions were almost as bad. We'll talk about them later, but the Dolphins are dysfunctional. An entire offseason to fix things. Every single player is healthy for the Dolphins right now. It's nice, though, for our Devon Achane bags that he was the lone bright spot for Miami. He did score a touchdown, was a receiving touchdown. He was getting a ton of targets, okay? But if I could cash in, sell him for a true RB1, I'd probably do that, okay? Back to the Jets. Breece Hall, 23 opportunities, 5.6 yards per carry. Braylon Allen stole the touchdown because, of course, he only had 6 carries, but he got in. And the Jets offense overall just looked very good. Breece Hall, as you guys know, as the meme goes, was my 101 last year, pretty convincingly. That's not work out, but then again, never wrong, just early, as they say. In all seriousness, though, Breece Hall looked very good today. That 4th round Breece Hall is looking like a very nice pick. They were running him to the left all day. I'm talking 12 yards, 16 yards, 13 yards, just like bam, bam, bam. Wish he got it in the end zone. They're really stuck in the ways of Braylon Allen on the goal line, and Justin Fields also got in on the goal line. So if you can sell Breece Hall, right, you can jump up to, a Kyron Williams. I still view Kyron ahead of him, a Chase Brown, who actually didn't finish with that many fantasy points but had a nice day. Get into that RB1 tier, that true top 12 tier. I'd probably do that, okay? But Breece Hall, if you can't, right, don't try to just throw him away. He's going to be a good player this year, it looks like, okay? Bucky Irving, 70% plus snaps. He absolutely dominated. Now, I'll remind you, last year, when he was a top 5 running back to close the year, those prime Bucky days, if you will, of 2024, he was only seeing 50% of snaps. So he had 70% today, which is more than usual. He handled it very well. No signs of fatigue during the game or injury and nothing like that. I mean, this truly is a best case scenario. We could be looking at top 3 ceiling officially. I needed to see him take that workload. He did. All right. that unlocks like really elite ceiling with Irving. Okay. Jalen Warren, the Steelers' backfield is concerning. So Jalen Warren, 13 opportunities to Kenny Gainwell's 11. Now, Gainwell started the game essentially, or maybe Warren started like the first play, the first carry. I don't even know how it went, but long story short, the first half was dominated by Kenny Gainwell over Jalen Warren. It was bizarre. Very weird. And then Gainwell coughed up the ball, didn't lose the fumble, but coughed it up. So I think he got kind of benched. And then Warren took over, scored the touchdown. If I have Warren and I can trade him for like a top 24 RB, ideally, like an ETN, for example. Yes, it's going to be hard to do after ETN's day today, but there will be people trying to move on. I'm looking to move Warren for a usable flex, I should say. So maybe a top 30 at the position. Am I picking up Gainwell? No. Am I worried about Gainwell? Like, no. But, I mean, why is Kenny Gainwell starting and getting work over Jalen Warren, who you just paid to a 2-year deal as your lead running back? Why is that occurring? The reason is because of Arthur Smith. We should have known, and we cannot trust the backfield or these players in this offense. I'm seeing Jonnu Smith touchdowns, Ben Skoranek touchdowns. Like, I'm good. I'm good. Honestly, I'm good. I don't need it. You don't need it. I don't need it. So just don't allow it. Travis Etienne, I'm going to, as you guys know, this could be a video in itself. But yes, he is the lead running back in Jacksonville. What a big surprise. It's almost like he's the best running back on the team. And yeah, that's really it. 65% plus snaps, 140 plus rushing yards. And then for all my Bashal Tootin believers, we had the Quint Allen Jr. in your face here, starting over Tootin. So anyway, I guess we'll be quick on that one. Yeah, Tank Bigsby, looking like maybe a healthy and active soon or traded. No one is worth starting besides ETN. He is a buy because you will have people who still don't think he's the lead running back for whatever reason. We're on like year 3 or 4 of this now where all off season we try to make someone the lead running back. They aren't. Okay. Anyway. Okay, I'm done with that one. All right. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Bill. Yeah, he delivered today. He just absolutely delivered. There was a healthy inactive for Chris Rodriguez at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, which was surprising because all week we had thought that Chris Rodriguez would be the lead rusher. Eckler would do the passing. It was not that at all. Bill was the lead running back. Big play after big play. Got in the end zone, 8.2 yards per carry. So he's a very good RB2 start moving forward. Chase Brown, mentioned him before, but 8 opportunities and a touchdown on the opening drive. The Cincinnati offense then stalled, which was very weird. Like the first drive, they were cooking. I don't know what changed, okay, but Chase Brown finished with 24 opportunities. I mean, that's challenging for league leading, honestly. Like that's Saquon. Saquon had like 23, I think. That is elite, truly elite. So if you can buy Chase Brown with a Kyron Williams, right, with one of those RBs kind of ranked like 10 to 15, a Jonathan Taylor for Chase Brown, do it. This was a good start for him today. Trevion Henderson, sticking with the RBs, guys, just giving you the RBs. Trevion Henderson, the Pats did not look very good today. They were pretty sluggish, but Henderson, 6 targets in his first NFL game ever. So that was definitely encouraging. Sticking with the rookie RBs, Ashton, and then I gave him the nickname of never played in the NFL. Ashton Genty saw 85% plus snaps, 21 opportunities, and a touchdown. He has an RB1 ceiling, and this confirms it based on volume alone. And this really was a great first game. When you look at Najee Harris, Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, these rookies in their rookie seasons, all finishing top 3 at the position, they all had 350 plus touches and a lot of touchdowns. So we got 1 touchdown on the board for Genty, all right, and so far 21 total opportunities. So yeah, he's pushing those numbers, and I do think he has RB1 overall ceiling. Deebo Samuel just looked very good in Cliff Kingsbury's offense, 30% target share, and in typical Deebo fashion, 19-yard rushing touchdown. So he is an every week flex start. This offense is electric here for the Commanders. And Emeka Egbuka, as we transition into the wide receivers, scored twice. 4 catches, doesn't matter, okay? 4 catches is not that much, but 2 big play tutties. And they're the type of plays, these clutch plays that like Mike Evans always makes, right, in crunch time, or sometimes we see Godwin make. Egbuka has just stepped right into this Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield offense style. And just, I mean, he's delivering. He is looking like one of the best picks in drafts. Garrett Wilson, I'm just going to say it. Stay on that side, okay? Stay on that side. 43% target share. leading all wide receivers. And that number, 43% of targets, is like unheard of. That is insane. I mean, if a wide receiver is getting 25%, we're like, oh yeah, that's good. 43%. Almost half the targets went to Wilson. 9 targets, as you guys know, that's the magic number, okay? Connected with Fields on a massive deep touchdown. He just cooked the defense. I mean, I love it. The offense is run first. We're good with that. Totally fine because the offense is moving. That's the moral of the story. The offense is looking good. It's moving. So now Garrett Wilson, play action, wide open, touchdown. No reason he can't score 7-8 touchdowns. No reason. Speaking of touchdowns, Marvin Harrison Jr., goal line touchdown. Very nice little route, kind of just a slept-on route where, he really just took what the defense was giving him, found the space, and scored. It was really nice. It was nice to see. Wasn't like an Odell Beckham Jr. highlight catch K. It was just a nice wide receiver play. 18.1 fantasy points in the first week of 2025, which we love to see. If we're looking for a waiver target, we'll go back to New England. Kayshon Boutte. He was the lead Pats wide receiver. 16-plus fantasy points in 3 of the last 4 games he's played here. So the final 3 of 2024 and this most recent one. I actually think in 2024, 2 of his last 3 games were over 20 fantasy points. One of them was with May. The other was not. So he just has a clear connection with May, though. It was evident again today. And he is startable. I mean, this is a priority waiver ad. We were expecting Stephon Diggs, Pop Douglas. I think Douglas got in the end zone. But yeah, in terms of pure target volume, Boutte is looking like the guy. And if we're talking targets, let's discuss Malik Neighbors. Drew 12 targets again, so yeah, probably on pace alongside Hollywood Brown to lead the league in targets, okay? But Russ did not look good. Like, he was not connecting with Neighbors. I mean, throwing the ball out of bounds over Neighbors, just late, early, missing, not on the same page. And Neighbors here, 10-plus targets in 5 of last 7 games. We really need Jackson Dart. I don't know when it's going to happen, but that game for the Giants was very winnable. And I know their fans, some of them very well, and they are not going to be happy about that. But if you have Neighbors, no worries. Jacoby Myers, he did his thing with 8 catches, 94 yards, 30% target share. I think that was top 10 at the position today. And he's just still a PPR machine. I had lowered him on my rankings pretty considerably because of the trade request and the Amari Cooper signing for him to retire. Like, there was just a lot of things going on last 4 or 5 weeks. But end of the day, Jacoby Myers is a flex. Brian Thomas Jr., he caught 1 of 7 targets. Unless my eyes deceived me earlier when I was looking at the stats. But I was watching the game and I saw a lot of Travis Hunter, who we'll talk about in a second. But BTJ, 1 of 7 targets. He did rush for a touchdown, though. So I do like that the offense is like still revolving around him. We're designing plays around him. It's definitely a slept-on aspect for fantasy football. When the coach says, no, this play is for you. Go score, right? We love that. He is, in my opinion, one of the biggest buy lows in fantasy. And I just do want to confirm he did catch 1 of his targets. The box score hunting is crazy, but yeah, 1 catch on 7 targets for BTJ. Make no mistake about it. The offense looked good. There was not a lot of the ground game was cooking. The defense was cooking. So there wasn't a lot of opportunity here. Like, they weren't in a shootout, essentially. It was kind of an odd game with the weather delay. Yeah, I'm all over Brian Thomas Jr., buying him as a wide receiver 1. DK Metcalf, only 1 more target than Calvin Austin, who looks like Pittsburgh wide receiver 2. We were kind of monitoring who the wide receiver 2 is in Pittsburgh. It is Calvin Austin, and he is a good waiver wire target, especially in PPR. And DK Metcalf looked fine. Again, it was a weird Arthur Smith. It was like an Arthur Smith vintage performance today from the OC, and yeah, not awesome. But again, DK's fine wide receiver 2. Calvin Austin, good waiver pickup. I mentioned Travis Hunter before. He actually out-targeted Brian Thomas. I have him as like a must-start top 24, top 30 player right in that wide receiver 2 range because he was dominating, played a lot out of the slot, and saw a lot of targets. He was cooking. Get him in your lineups. He looked good, okay? He looked good. The other rookie, Tedero McMillan, 9+ targets in a blowout to Jacksonville, so he is another buy low alongside Brian Thomas Jr. Anytime we're getting 9 targets at the wide receiver position, you got to be alarm bells going off. I don't care who it is. 9+ targets. And it's not because they were down 25 points the entire game. Like, it was a McMillan simulator. He was making good catches, doing acrobatic things. It was everything we should have seen, but it didn't show up in the fantasy football box score or the point total. Trade for McMillan. some guys where the vibes are not as good. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So we had Tyreek Hill on the bench, complaining again, screaming at the teammates. We had Jalen Waddle, just getting tackled on a very basic football play, just absolutely, you would have thought he had to go to the hospital. It was just vintage from these two today. Combined for fewer fantasy points total than Cedric Tillman, and he only scored like 16 points. So I do see minimal hope here for this improvement. I don't think this is an overreaction. Like, it's been like this for months now, where we've just been hearing things about how awful the culture is and things like that. They both have to be downgraded. I mean, I'm talking wide receiver 2 at best, and I don't want to start him. Honestly, I want to start Travis Hunter over both these guys. Then we move on to the tight end position, where we'll start with Brock Bowers. So, you would have thought another one here where you would have thought today, and I got the jersey on, so it's probably a little bit my fault, but you would have thought today, my God, that Brock Bowers would be dropped for Zach Ertz on Wednesday, okay? Or who knows, off waivers, because, man, the game started and Michael Mayer was out there blocking and getting a couple targets. That's great, okay? Cool. And, Bowers had like a 40% snap share through the first two quarters, albeit, by the way, with like 60 receiving yards. And so he posted 100 plus yards, 8 targets, and he didn't even play the fourth quarter because he was out with a knee injury, which, by the way, is good, supposedly, right? He wanted to go back in. The vibes on that are good. You never know till the MRI comes back, but it looks good. And Michael Mayer, he outsnapped him on these run plays in the beginning, got a few targets, a few catches. He looked good. That's fine. It's not like there is a Malik Neighbors on the team that is getting 12 targets a game. Sure, you have Jacoby Myers, okay? See my point? Like, Bowers is the main receiving threat on this team, and other teams know that. 100 plus yards, 8 targets, 3 quarters. Like, dude, if you play 20% of snaps, literally, and you have 8 targets, 100 yards, and 3 quarters, I don't care. Who cares? If we're playing a snap percentage league where, sure, we get points for snaps played, great. But nonetheless, it's also the tight end position where, snaps are not always the best. Like RBs, for example, snaps. You want snap count matters a ton. Tight ends, it's very dependent on what type of offense you're running, what type of role you have. Are you a receiver? Are you a blocker? Are you really needed on that play? If Brock Bowers was playing 100% of snaps, right, but he was only being targeted or used or the potential to score me fantasy points on 60%, I don't need him playing those other 40. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care. All right? And if it's another opportunity, if he plays those extra snaps, then sure, I'll start to care. But it's not. Like, when he's on the field, he's a weapon and being used. So, the whole blow-up today on Twitter was very interesting to me, because when you went and checked the score, I mean, here we go. Let's just go over to the tight end position, total leaders on ESPN Fantasy. Number 2, Brock Bowers, behind a Jawan Johnson, who goes off for 15 points 4 times a year. One of them was today. 3 quarters, by the way, for Bowers. We're good. Everybody relax. Okay. TED Talk is over. Speaking of Tyler Warren, you just saw him there. 3rd best tight end today, over 15 points. 9 targets in the NFL debut. I said that 9 target number. Alarm bells should go off for wide receivers. Yeah, for tight ends, I mean, yeah, it gets you bothered a little bit, like in a good way. Okay, that was weird. Anyway, Warren has tight end 1 overall upside. I've seen enough, literally 1 week, especially if Daniel Jones remains the QB, which apparently he's going to. I believe the team scored on every single possession today for Daniel Jones, which is a cool stat. Sticking with tight ends, we got 2 interesting names here. Harold Fannin, he out-targeted David Njoku 9-6. His 9 targets were actually more than Judy and Tillman. They each had 8. So Fannin is a must-add off waivers. He was dominating the preseason. Looked very good, scored some touchdowns. Flacco likes him a lot. They almost beat the Bengals today. So Fannin is definitely an add. Kyle Pitts, again, 9 targets, the magic number here. Pitts had 9 targets today. That's awesome. Most since week 7 of last year, which was like one of those fluke good games for Pitts in terms of utilization that we all freaked out about. So it was a solid start here in 2025. He can definitely be streamed in this new Falcons offense with the new official starter, Michael Penix. Speaking of Michael Penix, he looked like a superstar. 42 pass attempts is awesome. 40-plus pass attempts, we love that. Nearly 300 yards on those and a touchdown. He also 6 rushes, which is great. 6 rushes at the QB position is awesome for a score. And then back to the tight ends real quick. We're a little bit all over the place, but Trey McBride, forgot to mention him momentarily. 9 targets, magic number. Picking up where he left off, 61 yards, so just a ho-hum, 15.1 points. No one's complaining about that, dude, at the tight end position. So looked very good. Played very well today. Did Trey McBride. There was one point he had like a 40% target share on every single snap played, and he was just dominating. Touchdown today went to Marvin. It was a short range one. I really do think that if McBride sees 4 or 5, 6 touchdowns, a man can dream. He can push those 300 fantasy points like Andrews and Kelsey and Gronk in those special years. That is a bold prediction of mine. We transition kind of to the later games, and we go back to RB. Jahmyr Gibbs, bulletproof for fantasy football. This Lions offense really was questionable today. This was the worst Lions offense performance I've ever seen I'm not going to say in my life because I am old enough to remember when they were like 0-17, but in the last 2 years, this is the worst offensive performance I can remember. Other than that first half, I think it was like versus the Niners or something, I forget, but in the playoffs, whatever. Jahmyr Gibbs, though, doesn't matter. This is why he is a locked-in top 4 pick, because when the Lions suck and they are losing, it does not matter. Most running backs go as the offense goes, not Gibbs. 10 targets, ladies and gentlemen, 10 targets. Your RB's getting 10 targets, they don't have to run the ball once, and he basically didn't. He had like 20 rushing yards today. Like 20 rushing yards on 10 carries. Who cares? I don't care. Because for fantasy football, 10 targets from the running back position is prime Alvin Kamara-esque, and that is exactly what you get with Gibbs. So even though the offense doesn't look good, no problem. St. Brown, Jameson Williams, I do think they are buy lows. Really like what I saw from Williams, and then St. Brown was just doing his thing when he could. It really was a Jared Goff problem today. It was not easy for Goff, and he did not look good. He is the biggest, the one who loses the most value from Ben Johnson leaving, because St. Brown, Williams, they just get open when they want. Williams has his design jet screen. St. Brown, you cannot guard him off the line of scrimmage. He's unguardable. All right, and then I would say David Montgomery, too, is affected because he's not benefiting from these easy touchdowns, obviously. In terms of downgrades for the Lions, it is Goff, it is Monty. Everyone else, I'm still fine with, okay? I'm still fine with, especially St. Brown and Gibbs, and I would buy them if possible. Josh Jacobs, other side of the ball. I mean, this dude is just a monster. Let me look up exactly how many points he had, but touchdown here in his 9th straight game. Josh Jacobs, where did you go? Hold on. The apps. I want to see exactly how many points he had because I was writing this as he was plunging into the end zone. So, okay, so only 14 points today, which, on 20 opportunities, it seems like a lot more, but only caught 1 pass. The majority of the fourth quarter, they didn't need a lot from him. They weren't in a close game exactly, but again, we take 14 points from a running back any day of the week, and yeah, Jacobs looked great. I'd be very happy if I was a Jacobs owner right now. Nick Chubb also looked good, 4 yards a carry for Houston, but in that backfield, 4 different running backs ran the ball. So I don't see much value in that backfield. I don't even know if Mixon's coming back, but you had Agumbawale, Woody Marks, Damian Pierce, all getting carries. Yeah, dude, that team, Houston, we'll just talk about Nico Collins too, because was not a good day for him. Let me just take a look. Hold on. I mean, he was my wide receiver 2 this week. 5 targets, 3 catches, 25 yards. This is not what we are talking about, man. Against the Rams, this is not what we are talking about. So it's a bit of a downgrade. Still a wide receiver 1, but definitely more hesitant, right? To throw him in that top 3, just just no questions asked. Oh, Nico Collins, great matchup, top 3. Not really. Not really. I mean, when you look at the leading wide receivers today, or for this week so far, the names are pretty interesting. Quentin Johnson, Emeka Egbuka, and Puka Nacua are the top 3. You're going to have to really sell me to rank Nico Collins ahead of Puka if everyone on the Rams is healthy. That man, Puka, is different. We will talk about him in a second. Kyron Williams on the Rams. As we transition to the Rams, workhorse duties, 80% plus of the RB opportunities. That offense was cooking. Blake Corum got a carry or 2. Kyron got in the end zone. Very similar to Josh Jacobs, just very solid fantasy football running backs. High-end RB2s, low-end RB1s. Start them every week. Sometimes you'll get 11 points. Sometimes you'll get 26. That's what it is. It's great, honestly. Puka Nacua, I talked about him before. alpha wide receiver for the Rams. Very casual today. 10 catches, 130 yards. That is the most Puka stat line. It's like prime Cooper Kupp. And he left mid-game for a concussion evaluation. He's fine, okay? Came back and just continued doing his thing. Adams, I do think he's a trade target. 8+ targets today. I'd rather start Adams over Tyreek Hill, for example. And that's not necessarily super hot takey. A lot of people feel that way, but Adams, guys, is a trade target and a good start. A very good start. RJ Harvey, we'll go to the Denver Broncos now. RJ Harvey looked good. Dare I say great, ripping off a 50-yard run, but just not a lot of opportunity. J.K. Dobbins saw the most carries. I think he had like 10 or 12. And Tyler Bidet saw the most running back targets. He had 6 targets. So Harvey is not seeing the most carries. He's not seeing the most targets. He's kind of in this limbo for the Denver Broncos backfield where it's like, Sean Payton for basically the 3rd year in a row is just effing with us on these roles. The Joker role. Like, dude, I'm over it. I cringe when I hear that. I'm done. I am done with that. Really gets me upset to hear about that. So RJ Harvey looks like he's being wasted right now. So that's unfortunate. It's kind of weird because Javonte Williams just dropped 20 fantasy points and 2 touchdowns. And yeah, no, he didn't look like prime LaDainian Tomlinson, but he looked very good for fantasy. So where was that the last 2 years? Okay. I'm done. For that backfield, though, if people are looking to sell Harvey, I'd buy as a flex that I can bench. I don't really want to start him until I see more, but I want to buy the rookie. I don't want to buy Bidet, obviously, or Dobbins. If someone's going to rise, it's going to be Harvey. And yeah, he did look good when he got the ball. So anyway, for the 49ers, some good news and some bad news. Christian McCaffrey, he looked very healthy. 30+ opportunities. 30 Christian McCaffrey opportunities. We are so back. 9 catches. Let me just pull up the game log real quick. We are beyond back. Just over 3 a carry. We are so back. 10 targets. No touchdown. 23 points with no touchdown. So yeah, best player in fantasy ceiling until he's injured, which I hope isn't the case. Speaking of injuries, guys, George Kittle ruled out quickly with a hamstring injury. He was dominating early, caught a touchdown, and then bam, hamstring. Maybe 15 minutes later, Kittle's out of here. So Ricky Pearsall then was the lead San Fran wide receiver. He had over 100 yards, and he's in that wide receiver 2 range. Am I starting Pearsall over Tyreek Hill? We might be approaching that as we move forward into week 2, honestly. Didn't see a ton of targets. A lot of them were going to McCaffrey, obviously, but Pearsall, when it went to the wide receivers, he was the guy over Jennings, who also has an injury. Quick note on George Kittle. Oh, man, I don't want to be that guy, but, and it's unfortunate timing and not exactly the best timing because Brock Bowers was injured today, but, this is the reason 32-year-old George Kittle was not, for me, in the same tier as Bowers and McBride because he's missed a game in basically every season of his career. I think that's a fact, obviously, George Kittle. Or I should say, actually, I think that's a fact, not obviously, because I'm not sure. I think he has, 1 or 2 last year. I think it was 2 last year. And 32 years old. The history of 32-year-old tight ends is not great. And it's just a fact. I'm not going to choose to ignore this. I'm not predicting injuries. But when we're taking Kittle in the mid-3rd round, this is not correct because he's a 32-year-old tight end. It's not correct. He should have been going in the mid-4th. That's a fine pick. Even the 3-4 turn if you want. But when I'm seeing him go early 3rd, which was happening. Don't act like it's not. It was happening. No, I can't have that. I can't have the talks of Kittle's in the same tier as McBride and Bowers. He is on a per-game basis, but I need a tight end on my team. I don't want to roster 2 when Kittle's injured. So, yeah, maybe it's a little harsh, but it's my feelings. We go to Seattle on the other side of the ball in this game. JSN, full PPR cheat code. This guy's the most slept on wide receiver 1, going in the mid-3rd, sometimes Kittle off the board before him, out of control. 13 targets. Darnold loves receivers like JSN. He loves them. Example A, Justin Jefferson. Whether he's outside in the slot, doesn't matter. 13 targets. Kupp only had 3. Damn. So yeah, top 12, JSN is in effect. Zach Charbonnet for the running backs, more rushes than Ken Walker, and he got in the end zone. Walker did see more total opportunities, 3 targets. Charbonnet had 0. Interesting there. Charbonnet now is startable. I think both running backs are startable as flexes. Jaden Daniels, just a random Jaden Daniels transition, but he ran 11 times for 68 yards. Starting to put together a running back stat line like Justin Fields there. Didn't get in the end zone on the ground, but 225 plus passing yards with a touchdown. I mean, very impressive debut. was clear that McLaurin and him were not on the same page. McLaurin was a shaky start today. It's just unfortunate because you had to start him. But they weren't on the same page. I think he only had 4 targets, 2 catches. I believe that'll get better. As we move the clock backwards and go to Friday night, and we will eventually go to Thursday, but Justin Herbert dominated on Friday night. The Chargers passed way more than anyone expected. I don't even think the Chiefs expected them to do that, and they cooked them. Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey, cooking. Quentin Johnson, cooking. So Herbert, with those 3 weapons, and a run game, and a good offensive line, even with the injuries, QB1 overall ceiling, and we saw it because Herbert was running a ton. We look at his rush yards. But when Herbert gets moving, big-ass Justin Herbert, 6'6", when he gets moving, he's moving. 32 rush yards is great. Sometimes those go in the end zone, but that's 3.2 extra fantasy points. Pretty awesome. Pushing 28 fantasy points this week. You love to see that. You really do. Quentin Johnson, I mentioned him before, must add. He is a boom or bust type of guy, but in these matchups where, we're expecting a bit of a shootout, he should be in lineups as a flex. You want exposure to the Chargers passing attack. Keenan is in the same boat. He's a must add. If you're in full PPR, I like Keenan. If you're in half, I like Johnston. And you have to buy low on Ladd McConkey in that same tier right now as Brian Thomas Jr. for the buy lows. I really want Ladd McConkey. It wasn't his week in terms of who got the touchdowns, the targets and things, but there's no question about it. 9 targets, 6 catches for 74. That's the floor, guys. 13.4 fantasy points is the floor. You really want Ladd. You really want Ladd. In terms of Hampton, Amarian Hampton in his first game, 17 opportunities. Najee Harris had 2. So I guess that question is answered. That's great. But it wasn't amazing. He took what was given to him. He didn't pick up a lot of extra stuff. It was not flashy. It was just very, dare I say, Najee Harris-esque, where he took advantage of the blocking, got the yards that were given to him. Okay, only 3.2 a carry, 48 yards, caught 2 balls for 13 yards. So nothing crazy, 8.1 fantasy points. He's a bit of a buy low. I'm not paying RB1 price for him, though. If I could flip Breeze for Hampton, I would maybe consider that, but maybe not. So that's kind of the range I have him in there. And this one kind of stinks, but Isaiah Pacheco for the Chiefs, full committee with Kareem Hunt. And Hunt was seeing the goal line, the short yardage, and the receiving. Pacheco was kind of just out there when they wanted to run it without a purpose, they just wanted to run. So I do downgrade Pacheco to RB3. Status, top 30 maybe, but not top 20 for sure. And it's a bit of a tough downgrade, man. I had him RB13 this week. All preseason signs pointed to him essentially being the lead running back, where the backups were in a bit of a committee. So maybe it changes. I want to go trading him away. His value is very low. I would hold him and bench him for now. And unfortunately, Xavier Worthy on the Chiefs, he's likely out multiple weeks with the shoulder injury. Marquise Brown, just whenever Marquise Brown is healthy and his QB is healthy, bet on the guy, okay? And that's not actual betting advice, but what I mean is just keep your eye on the guy because he always seems to produce 16 targets. Obviously, Worthy leaving the game early was a huge part of that, but 16 targets for Marquise Brown. He is startable if Worthy misses time. And honestly, even if Worthy's playing and Rashee Rice is out, you can still start Hollywood Brown. Jalen Royals is a sneaky waiver stash, so he's probably going to open the week as out because he was out in the fantasy apps. He'll be marked as out, so you can probably pick him up, put him in the IR, unless they fix that rule. I don't know, but definitely a stash Jalen Royals off of waivers. I will continue with updates, guys, from Sunday Night Football, which is happening as I speak, and Monday Night Football in this thread. So follow on Twitter at Joe AricoFF, at NoExpertFF for those updates. Real quick, from Thursday night, quick hitting updates. Dak Prescott, clear path to elite fantasy football ceiling this year. He is a big trade target. A lot of drops in the end zone, long passes, penalties, things like that. Trade target. Offense looked really good. Javonte Williams walks like a workhorse, talks like a workhorse. He's probably a workhorse running back. Just because his advanced metrics don't satisfy your guys' needs and scratch your brain, dude, he's going to get 15 to 20 opportunities a game and the goal line work, and he's producing for Jerry Jones, who this is what he wants, okay? He has boring advanced metrics. It doesn't really matter. ADP of round 10, one of the best picks you can make. 18 opportunities last night. 10 of the 12 best running backs in fantasy last year averaged 18 or more opportunities. It's an important number. So I would not trade away Javonte. You're going to see him marked as a sell high. I do not agree. CeeDee Lamb, best player in fantasy football ceiling, was again confirmed. For me, he was a clear top 4 player. Tier 1, Chase, Bijan, Gibbs, top 4 overall pick, and Lamb in that category. And tier 1, 13 targets is simply out of control, and he dropped like 3 or 4 awful drops. And it just seems like his floor is 6 catches for 100 yards. It genuinely seems like that's his floor when Dak is healthy. So congrats, he is an elite wide receiver 1. Didn't really need to be said. George Pickens is a trade target, similar to Dak. He was on the receiving ends of a lot of those missed plays, called back touchdowns, things like that. 1 or 2 of them were in the end zone or right around it. I don't know if there were actually any necessarily called back touchdowns, but you know what I mean. It wasn't the game we were hoping for from him, but I do think he was closer to 20 fantasy points than we all realized. He certainly is a trade target. Jake Ferguson, similar to Pickens above, 6 targets, 77% snaps from the tight end. We take that any day of the week, getting targeted on those deep seams that Dak loves to the tight ends. Really like Jake Ferguson. As we move to the Eagles, last team we'll talk about tonight, Jalen Hurts, top 4 QB every week. We don't need to even say anything else. I mean, truly impressive. Is a favorite for the MVP this year, absolutely. Saquon Barkley, just a very casual 23 opportunities for 18.4 fantasy points. I think we take his greatness for granted. I am guilty of that, first-rate guilty, caught red-handed, of sleeping on Barkley a little bit every single year. But yeah, if he plays near 17 games, 15 plus, most likely a guarantee for top 5 running back floor. His handcuff is very important. Will Shipley or A.J. Dillon. Shipley got banged up, so monitor who the backup is. But whoever it is, they should be rostered in leagues because that player was actually at standalone value, was getting work alongside Barkley. As we move to A.J. Brown, I wrote I have a bit of an essay here about A.J. Brown because I was clowned for months and months on end ranking A.J. Brown like wide receiver 20, wide receiver 21, and just getting cooked, he should be above JSN, things like that. Here's the thing. He is the worst pick in round 2 of drafts. This is the 2nd year in a row now. He has not scored. Okay, he has been a top 12 wide receiver. So where you're drafting him, he's been a wide receiver 1 in just 3 of the last 11 games played. And after every one of those crappy performances, it's always, they ran a lot this game. They blew out the other team. It's not changing. Yeah, it's not changing. So it's completely up to chance every week if he is the number 1 scoring option or if he's behind Devonta Smith, which he was the other night in terms of fantasy, Jalen Hurts, which he was the other night, Saquon Barkley, which he was the other night. We can add Dallas Goedert in there. Okay, he was way more productive for fantasy. It is literally up to chance every single week. Where a guy like JSN, brother, he's the only guy. He's the only guy cooking for PPR. See what I mean? Okay. Now, there's no denying in real life he is a monster wide receiver, probably, top 10, top 5 easily, honestly. He is a monster in a vacuum. But when we start to put it in fantasy football context, his floor is 1 point. We saw it last night. Literally, he has a 1 point floor. Honestly, a 0 point floor. And his ceiling is like 40, dare I say 50 points. There are about 20 wide receivers with that range of outcomes. So why is he going consistently in drafts as wide receiver 7 for years on end? A.J. Brown's cult following, bring me into the meeting, man, because I have thoughts. And a week from today, he'll probably be force-fed 10 targets because he's going to be pissed all week, and the fans are going to be pissed. So yes, is he going to go drop 40 points? Yeah, maybe, but it doesn't matter because what we saw last week, when it's actually just natural, what's naturally happening in the game, that is a possible outcome. And yes, he'll probably finish top 18 at the position in points per game because those massive weeks will offset it. If you have him on your team, he's in the lineup. There's 0 thoughts about it. I'm more so just using this as confirmation for me that my ranking was correct. And I'm like, I'm definitely rambling a little bit, but I'm passionate about it, okay? Taking him over like Ladd, Jacobs, Bucky, Higgins, who didn't do too well today. I don't think that's the move. So yeah, I would trade him away for top 12 wide receiver value if possible, a JSN, a Ladd. Goodbye, A.J. Brown. There are plenty of players that are interested. Devonta Smith will move on from AJB. Why would you roster AJB when you have the same chance of a boom game or a bad game with Devonta Smith, and you can get him for the price of a wide receiver too? Why would you do it? And then Dallas Goedert, I do think he's a viable tight end streamer when the Eagles will have to put up points as they did versus the Cowboys. You really got to get those high over-under games for Goedert. But guys, that was a lot of players to discuss. I hope you like this new format. I'm recording this Sunday night, going to try to post it early as possible Monday. All right, so hope you enjoyed. Good luck on Monday night. Good luck in the matchups. It's a long season. Don't overreact like I just did for 30 minutes, okay? Join the Discord down below. Ask me any questions you have. I answer every single one for my subs.